I've helped over 100 founders defeat their fear of failure, including people like James Everest here, who is struggling to launch his business after putting all of his hard work into the product. A lot of these founders, they came to me actually with a lead gen problem and wanting to know how to reach out to people and how to create content on LinkedIn so that they would be able to get themselves clients. But actually, the real problem was their fear of failure. They didn't need the system, they just needed to be able to implement it properly. And so in this video, I'm going to show you how to find your fear of failure, the common mistakes that people make around this topic, and how to get rid of it for good. Okay, this is how your fear of failure can manifest. It could be a lack of outreach, only doing, say, like 10 to 15 a week. It's you not being able to raise your prices or struggling to be able to say your price in a sales call. It's when you do free work for people. It's when you're not posting content online. It's when you avoid launching something. It's any real block in your business, which is an action that you know you should take, but you're not taking for whatever reason. That is usually a fear of failure. There's usually a sign that you are worried that either people are going to see you and that's going to be scary because if something goes wrong, there's a lot of people seeing that, or it's just a fear that it's going to go wrong completely and actually that's going to hurt your identity. It's going to be difficult to see that happen. And it's easier for our bodies to stay comfortable and to be like, I'll just stay where I am. I'd rather experience the pain of staying in this position than experience the pain of getting it wrong. And that is what's keeping you trapped. That's what's stopping your business from growing. Yeah, a lot of these people that I worked with, I gave them how to reach out to people on LinkedIn and how to book sales calls. And they would do it a little bit and they'd get a little bit of results. But when did they actually see results? When we broke down why they weren't reaching out to people. The fact that they believed they actually had a good service. The fact that it's not bothering people if you are actually providing them a good service. The idea that you are going to get no's. All of these things are encompassed by this fear of failure. When you can tick those off, you can start doing 50, 100, 200 outreaches per week, and it slides off you like it's nothing. And if you were doing an extra 200 outreaches per week for your business, don't you think you'd be getting some more clients? Cool. So here are some of the common mistakes that I see when people have a fear of failure and they're trying to deal with it. First thing is they try to push through. Now, this is a path to burnout. Reason being that essentially you've got a whole load of stress about this thing. You are flagging a fight or flight response. And so your body is experiencing stress. First stage of stress is alarm. And so actually maybe you do end up doing a lot of work and it looks like things are going well at first. But eventually you start hitting stage 2, resistance to this task because your brain has started to associate this task with stress. And so obviously your brain is going to try and avoid this stress because stress is something that our bodies held on to show us that there's a threat to us right now. And so why would your body allow you to do something that makes it feel like there's a threat out there? So that's why you go into stage 2. And stage two eventually becomes stage 3, which is burnout. You've hit resistance so many times, you've pushed through so many times, so now your body shuts down because it's like, we're really not doing this thing anymore. I've tried to send you signs. I tried to tell you I don't like this, but you just kept going. And so now I'm shutting you down. Now we're in burnout. Now we're barely able to function. And I'm safe again. That's your body. Yeah, I'm safe again. Thank goodness. All right, so pushing through may work for a little bit of time. You may still get some benefits out of it, but in the long run, you are just pushing yourself towards burnout. Then we have the I just need to do X to get Y fallacy. And the problem with this is that there's always a next thing. And so your problem might be, again, using the outreach example. Let's say that you're struggling to do outreach. And so you go, oh, I just need to get my content in place first so that people know who I am, so that I've got people that are engaged with me, so that I've got X, Y, Z, I've got authority, I've got a platform, blah, 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 blah. This is all a distraction, and there is always going to be the next thing. Because then you start looking at your content and you start going like, right, okay, I've got 20 likes per post on average, but I need to really get it up to 50. And then it's 100. Well, then you go, now I need to get my profile sorted. Well, then you go, well, maybe I start focusing on inbound leads, and maybe I'll do this instead. And maybe I'll start doing it on another platform, and maybe that's what's needed. I've got the short form on this, and I'll do the long form on YouTube, and then blah, 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 blah. You just end up moving from the next thing to the next thing to the next thing to the next thing, and you just circle around this problem, which isn't letting you do outreach, which is the thing that you know is going to grow your business. And so the fear of failure remains. Number 3, hiding. Obviously, this just never fixes it. This is when you just avoid the problem. Maybe you go on your phone, maybe you go on TikTok, maybe you chat to people, maybe you go on LinkedIn, maybe you read a book. Whatever it is, you hide away from the problem. And obviously that is never going to solve it. And actually your business isn't even going to get any benefits from it. So I don't think I need to convince you of why that's a problem. Then we have finding something more important. Finding something more important. Needed to make that clear, because this is where a lot of us get stuck. We find these distractions, but we don't realize that they're distractions. We think that the content is more important. We think that's a logical way of thinking. We think that that makes sense. We know that we've heard other gurus say it. We've seen it with some of our friends, etc., etc., etc. We decide that actually what we need is we need some really high quality lead magnets to be able to go out and do this thing. We decide that we need to do videos for the outreach, and we need to first get a really good camera and the lighting set up and blah, 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 blah. And we create all of these things in between. You see how similar it is to the I just need to do X fallacy. All right, that you're going to create distractions. Your ego does not want you to face this fear, because this fear has been suppressed and repressed for a reason. Your body didn't feel like it could deal with it. It didn't feel like it could deal with it flowing through your body. And so why would your body then want to face it? Because this whole time it's just been telling itself that it's too much, it's too much, it's too much. So your body creates distractions to try and take you away from dealing with the real thing. So these are some of the common mistakes when it comes to fear of failure. Okay, and you really need to start challenging yourself and breaking your beliefs if you're going to find the thing that's holding you back. And if you are experiencing anything like this, or anything that you know you should do and you believe will get results, but for some reason you're not doing it, it's probably a fear of failure, or it's some other mindset thing that's holding you back. Probably in the category of fear of failure. So here's the fix. In the short term, it is just mindful action. What do I mean by that? I mean removing the output that could come from this action. And so sticking with outreach. It's doing outreach without caring whether it gets a reply, or whether it doesn't get a reply, or whether you get rejected, someone tells you to fuck off, whatever it is. You just take the action in the moment. And if you could truly, truly get mindful and get present in the moment, you are able to do anything. Everything feels like flow when you're in the moment. And so whether you need 5 minutes of meditation, whether you need to go on a walk, whether you need to have a little dance around the room, whether you need to do 50 push-ups, whatever it is that seems to get you locked into the moment, do that, sit down, do your work. And this avoids you coming from it from a stressed place. This avoids you coming from the pushing through, which is just going to lead to burnout, because the threat is no longer there, because we don't care whether it goes good or bad or whatever. We're just taking an action. Same way you brush your teeth, the same way that you eat some cereal in the morning. You just do the action. You just trust that whatever's going to happen is going to happen. That's the mindful action. That's how you fix it in the short term. And so you can make sure that you're still getting your work done and still progressing your business. Now, the deeper work, the stuff that means that you don't need to rely on mindful action, you don't need to try and catch yourself in these moments, letting go. That's finding this fear of failure and this emotion and being able to sit with that emotion and allowing it to pass through your body. If you can become comfortable and show your body that you are comfortable with dealing with the very worst case scenario, then there's no more pressure when it comes to taking the action, because you've already shown your body that you are capable of dealing with the worst. And so now the only thing it's going to do is get better. And so obviously there's no threat anymore. There is no more fear of failure. Now the issue here is that you've been suppressing and repressing your emotions that your body felt like it couldn't deal with. And so now we need to find a way to make your body okay with releasing these emotions again. So we want to take it into small, tiny little chunks. And let's say outreach, again, just keeping the same example. Let's say with outreach that you are struggling to send messages to people. What I would do is I would look at, right, what if I just sent one message and I had no idea how they were going to reply? And I imagine that scenario, and that will bring an emotion out of me. And I will sit there and just notice the emotion. And you can do that by simply just feeling it. Some people like to imagine that they're outside their body looking at a body. Some people like to imagine that in the other way around, like you're inside your body and you're seeing another body with the emotions. Somebody see colors, somebody feel heat or motion or whatever it is. Just try not to intellectualize it. Just try to sit with it and notice it. And eventually you will notice that it goes, that it fades. And so then we'll build up the example. We'll go, what if we sent one message and it was a negative reply? Someone came back saying, this is a horrible piece of outreach. Your product looks terrible. Go away. Imagine that. Feel the emotions that come with that and release them. Just sit with them until they go. You're not trying to hold on to it. You're not actively trying to push them away. You're just sitting with the emotion. Then we build it up. What if we did it with 5? What if we did it with 10? What if we did it with 50? What if we did it with 100? What if the messages that we sent to people, all of them, took a screenshot, put it on their LinkedIn, all those posts went viral saying that this person's such a dig, his product is rubbish, blah, 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 he looks ugly too, whatever it is that these people are going to say about you. Imagine that scenario, what that feels like, and start releasing that. And then we can go even further back. We could start looking at your patterns and you can start seeing where this fear of failure seemed to originate from. All we need to do is show our body that we're capable of dealing with that emotion. And if we can go back to this initial emotion that our body reacted to by suppressing it and repressing it, and we're able to release that, then you are going to feel the flow whenever you go through any sort of scenario that could induce a fear of failure. You would show your body that you are fully capable of dealing with it, that you don't need to be scared of it, that you are able to feel it, watch it, let it pass, and act anyway. That is how you start to release the fear of failure. That's how James was able to start launching the business of his dreams. That's how my clients went from sending 5 DMs a week to sending 50 and booking 5 to 10 sales calls per week. That is how you start to get over your fear of failure. And if you want to join a community of people that are tackling their inner work, other founders, then join Outliers. The link is in the description. And if you would like to apply for some coaching, then the link is description for that too. Thank you.